So as mentioned before, the original plan for the band was to record and release the 3 albums that I had written prior to us even becoming a full band. And that once that was done, we were going to start producing a very special album that we had thought about since releasing Circle of Life, and this would later become The Corrupted Lullaby. On Circle of Life, we had a song called The Dreamer, which deals with somebody getting stuck in a dream. And throughout the years, we came up with many interesting ideas around this concept to expand the idea, and realized that it had good potential to become a concept album. The Corrupted Lullaby would become a double CD, which for years was our future dream project. But around the middle of 2015, I felt a bit dissatisfied with releasing songs that by this point felt old. And according to the plan, we would now spend yet another year recording an album with old songs. An album that was supposed to be called Rain Opera. And although there is some really good music on it, I knew that by the time of the release, I would still feel that it didn't represent where we were today, because I knew I could write better music than I could 5 years ago. So for the first time, I had the thought of skipping the album completely and instead start working on our dream album, The Corrupted Lullaby, where I was still in the middle of the writing process. However, there was another big thing and a potential problem going on at the same time. I had since about a year back started to get really interested in Japan, the Japanese language and Japanese culture. I had made many Japanese friends and fell in love with the country when visiting the same year, and during this time I had long resisted a strong urge to move and try living in Japan. But I had reached a point where I could not resist this urge anymore. I realized it was something I just had to do in order to not bear any regrets in the future. And apart from leaving my family, security, friends and work behind, one of my main concerns was the band. That had been one of the biggest reasons to why I had resisted the urge of moving to Japan for a long time. But now it was something I just had to do. So I called for a band meeting and told them that I had some very important things to talk about. And I told the guys about my wish to go and try living in Japan. But I also told them I didn't want the band to discontinue because of it. I suggested that we'd keep on producing music, despite the future difficulties of performing live together due to the distance. At the same time, while explaining my reasoning, I would also make the suggestion to skip Rain Opera and start working on finishing The Corrupted Lullaby, and once that is done, start working on completely new music. The news hit a bit hard on some of the guys. Some of the other guys had rejected other kinds of big decisions in their life in order to have time for the band.
So there was a conflicted feeling of understanding and a bit of disappointment at the same time.
This included Erik, who during the meeting expressed that he would not have the motivation to go on if it didn't also mean that we would rehearse and perform on a regular basis, which I was sad to hear but could totally understand. He'd give it a thought and we'd speak about it again. The next day, Erik contacted me and said that once that initial shock had passed, it had become clear that he also did not want to give up on the band. I think we all reaffirmed at this point that we were not in a band together just to have a breakthrough, but because we loved creating music together. We want to sit there in the future one day and be able to look back at a discography that we've left behind. Whether or not we ever get a big break, it will stand there as our legacy and something we can be proud of and look back on with fond memories. And it was a big relief for me to hear that everybody was still aboard this ship, willing to keep the journey on. I moved to Japan in the middle of 2016, learned Japanese while having one of the best years in my life. And during this time, I also finished writing all the music that would end up on The Corrupted Lullaby. After a year of fantastic experiences in Japan, I did move back to Sweden by the summer of 2017. And although we got reunited for a while, I would later return to Japan in 2019, and I'm still in Japan by the making of this video. But the band is still going strong, however. Even stronger than ever.